And today we're going to show you how to quickly set up a G2 dev kit and write your first program. Here we have the G2 dev kit, and we're going to plug the cables in. We'll start with the Ethernet cable. It goes in this connector marked Ethernet, and you just plug it in. Next we'll connect the debug connector. It's a USB connector, and it goes in the connector marked debug. We'll plug the USB cable into the hub, and then we'll use the Cat5 coupler to connect the Ethernet cable. Now we're connected to the network. And then the last thing is the power cord. It goes into the barrel connector on the development kit. And now you'll see the development kit power up. So this is the demo that comes preloaded in the dev kit. If you have a capacitive display module, you can just slide your finger nice and easily like that. For resistive, you'll use the push buttons up and down. Once you get to a demo that you want to run, you just press on it. In this case, it's a speedometer with a slider linked to the speedometer. So if you move the slider up and down, the speedometer value changes. We have other demos like a coffee brewing demo, where you can pick the roast you want and then brew a cup of coffee. These show off some of the other options that the display module will do. We have a dial demo. In this case, you can set circular sliders. Okay, next we're going to show you how to quickly write your own app and download it to the module. So one thing I forgot to mention was hooking up the serial port that you can use to talk to the application. We provide the RS-232 to USB adapter, and that plugs into the DB9 connector on the development kit. And on my system, that shows up as COM4. So I'll bring up my terminal emulator on COM4. Now when I press, say, the start button, I get a message on my terminal emulator saying start button equals 1. When I hit stop, I get stop button equals 1. And these are from the strings that we sent inside of the button press handler. We can also turn on the oil light using the oil underbar LED dot ON equals true, and we can turn it off by the same mechanism. ON equals false. And likewise, we can set the value of the speedometer with the speedometer dot value property, and you set it to some number. We'll use 75. And you can see the meter bounce there. We've shown you the display module running the demo and the application that we wrote, and now we're going to do screen captures showing you how to write the demo and download it to the module. We're going to get started with the dev kit by copying some files onto our desktop. I have a folder here with all the contents of the DVD, and I've created another folder called G2 Dev Kit that I'm going to use for this project. Go to the DVD and then go to the Tools for Windows Users folder. You want to copy G2 Link and samples into the folder you created on your desktop. G2 Link is a utility we provide to download code to the display module, and samples contains several sample projects. Go to G2 Link and double-click on g2link.exe. When it comes up, you'll see that it's not connected and there's no IP address shown. Click on Select Serial Port and choose the port that's connected to the debug port on your dev kit. On mine it's COM4. G2Link will log in using the port specified, and it'll show you the IP address that the dev kit has obtained from the DHCP server on your network. When you get to this point, you know your system and the dev kit are connected and talking properly. Now that we know that our system and the dev kit are connected correctly, we're going to go ahead and create a first project. Go back to your folder and go into Samples, and then make a copy of Empty Project. Empty Project is a framework that we provide that you can use to make new projects. We're going to rename this First Project. We're going to CD into that, and we're going to rename the QML project file as well. Now that we have it renamed, you can simply double-click on it to start Qt Creator. When Qt Creator starts, you'll see in the file list mainview.qml. This is your main source file. It comes pre-populated with a rectangle of the screen width and height and the color white. If you open the design mode, you see a canvas of your screen area. And to this we're going to add a speedometer and a couple of buttons. You can use the Qt Creator alignment tools as you're adding items. Last, we're going to add an LED. Now that we have the items on our screen, we're going to give them unique names. So we'll click on Test, change the text to Start, and we'll click on the other button and change its text to Stop, and then we'll click on the LED and change its label to Oil. Now we can go back to Edit mode, and we can see that Qt Creator has added entries for each of our items. For things like the speedometer and the oil LED that are going to receive messages from your application, you have to give them an object name. And this can be anything meaningful to your application. In this case, we'll call the speedometer Speed, and we'll call the LED Oil. Now, items that are going to send messages to your application, like the two buttons we have, are going to use a function we provide. We're going to connect to on button press, and we're going to use connection.sendMessage, and we're going to pass it a string, and the string is something meaningful to your application. In this case, we're going to say start button equals 1, and it has to be in the form of object equals value. So we'll add a similar entry for the stop button. So now when the start button is pressed, it'll send start button equals 1 to your application. And when the stop button is pressed, it'll send stop button equals 1. You do not need to add object names to these items. So we have all of our code added. We're going to do a file, save all. Then we'll go back to G2Link, and we're going to click on Publish and Run to download our new project. First thing you need to do is browse to your project folder, and that's in G2 Dev Kit, Samples, First Project. You need to browse to the folder that contains your QML project file. Click OK, and then click Go. As G2Link is downloading to your display module, you'll see the operations it's performing. First, it deletes the existing project. In this case, it's deleting the demo project. And then it'll download the files for your project. Once the files are downloaded, G2Link will start your application. So you can see on the screen you have two buttons, the oil LED and the speedometer. At this point, you bring up a terminal emulator that's connected to the UART port on your dev kit. When a button is pressed, a message will be sent out that UART port, and you'll see the string on the screen. So we'll press the start button, and you see start button equals 1. We'll press the stop button, and you see stop button equals 1. Now to turn on the oil LED, you have to send it a message using the object name that we defined. So we say oil dot on equals true, and it turns on. And to turn it off, you say oil dot on equals false. Likewise with the speedometer, you say speed, because that's the object name we gave it, and it takes a value equals and then some number. So you can see the speedometer value change, and then we'll turn it down a little bit, give it a new value. So in a nutshell, that's how to get your system set up and create a first project, and it shows you input and output from the project. The last thing we're going to do is show you how to reload the demo that came on the display module. We'll go back to G2Link, click on the Publish and Run button, and then we're going to browse over onto the files that came from the DVD. You go into the Tools for Windows Users folder, into the Demo Backup folder, and select the source folder. The source folder is the folder that contains the QML project file. Click on OK, and then click on Go. The demo is a kind of a large project, so it'll take a while to download after it finishes deleting the current project. Now you can see on the screen the contents of the original demo back to the way it was when it was shipped from the factory. Alright, so hopefully that gets you on the road when you get your dev kit. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or send an email. You can send an email to techsupport@reachtech.com or give us a call